place for you. Yeah,
After my election, I have more flexibility.
Yeah, I understand. I transmit this information to Vladimir and understand what.
Well, ever since that hot mic moment with former Russian President Dmitry Medvedev, there have been questions as to what exactly the president does plan to do with a potential second term in which he will have more flexibility, as he put it. The leader of one of the most powerful unions in the country, AFL-CIO President Richard Trumpka, is at the White House all the time. And now he says he knows, but he's not telling.
Have you had specific conversations with President Obama about what his agenda in the second term might be?
I've had conversations with the president. I've had conversations with his staff, his cabinet about things of that sort, yeah.
Joining me now, political consultant Mark Hanna. He was an aide to both the 2004 John Kerry campaign and the 2008 Obama campaign. And Tony Sayegh, who's a Republican political analyst and campaign consultant and national political correspondent for Talk Radio News Service. So, you know, it's like, Trumpka, I've talked to him. It's no mystery what President Obama says he's going to do in his second term. He's going to focus on immigration. He talked about more jobs and so on. But the implication is there'll be more.
Well, listen, I mean, Trumpka and his union friends are about to spend $400 million to reelect President Obama. So I certainly hope he's getting some inside information as a result. But the reality is, Megyn, with this second term, if the president were to win it, he'll be inheriting the mess he created, not George Bush's mess, which is he blamed a lot in the first term. The president has failed to address debt and deficit relief, which something that he appointed a bipartisan commission to find some results. He didn't adopt one of those policies. No tax reform, no entitlement reform. He has to at some point deal with them. If he has 4 more years, it's going to have to happen during that time, or else we're going to be over that edge that people know we're already on.
Mark Hanna, first things first. Has anybody ever told you that you look like Jimmy Stewart?
Oh, jeez.
You really do. You look like Jimmy Stewart.
How do I compete with that? I used to get Ralph Macchio.
Wow. Flattery will get you everywhere.
I'm just saying. I'm going to prove it to you in a couple of minutes. But is there something not on the agenda that the president could do? Second term, no constraints about re-election, and yet you do have to worry about getting another Democrat in the office when you leave.
Sure. No, the president's talking to everybody who will listen about what he's going to be doing on the second term. So, you know, yes, he's talking to Trumpka. Yes, he's talking to, you know, chief executives of you know, major industry organizations throughout the country. So he shows he's an inclusive president. He leads. And he also listens to people who are, you know, who have some say and who have large constituency bases.
Yeah, but the question is whether he's going to do something by executive order or something that, something that you wouldn't have to worry about. Like, we showed the clip before we went to the tease of the woman. This was up on the campaign re-election website, and then they took it down. But there was the girl who was like, oh, and then it's on. There's no re-election to worry about.
No, I mean,
what does that mean?
I got to be very frank about this. I'm not conspiratorial at all. Is the president going to do things to expand executive privilege and power more than he already has tried to do in his first term? Probably.
Unlike President Bush.
Probably. And the Democrats fought him tooth and nail on every single one of those. And you know that, Megyn. I'm more frankly concerned as an American of what he may be unwilling to do if he wins that second term. And he at some point has to be honest about the fact that we can't keep growing this debt and deficit without a plan. He's not proposed a budget that has passed once. He hasn't even gotten budget. Those are things that have to happen.
You're right, because if things stay the way they are now, then not a whole lot will get done because the Republicans control the House, the Democrats the Senate, and the Democrat in the White House. Not a lot has been happening over the past few months. They're saying nothing's going to happen from now to November. So what does happen in the second term?
That doesn't reflect on the president. That reflects on the sort of polarization and the roadblocks that are, you know, being put in place by Congress, which is, you know, extremely unpopular right now. But that's separate.
How many
we
Democrats
can play as
voted
many
for the president's budget? Just name me this year.
We can play as many hot mic moments as we want. We can have up, you know, these big conspiracy theories about there's some hidden agenda that Obama has. He has nothing to hide. The only reason we know who's meeting with the president is because he's led one of the most sort of transparent administrations in our nation's history. He's
because
voluntarily
the Trumpkas visited the White House 71 times, or once every 2 weeks.
And they show the White House logs because they, you know, they're committed to transparency. If you look at Mitt Romney, not to put, you know, shine the light back on Mitt Romney, but when he's telling secrets to his funders at private, off the record fundraising events, saying that he's going to, you know, eviscerate the Department of Education, housing and urban.
My goodness.
He said gut. I'm sorry. He said
Republicans have been talking about eliminating these institutions publicly. I don't know if it really matters that Romney said it to a bunch of private fundraisers.
It does matter. It does matter.
Well, the issue came up this week because, in part, because of Joe Biden on gay marriage.
Sure.
And the White House was asked, does the vice president speak for you? Is the president going, does he now back gay marriage, which he didn't before? And they said what they've always said, it's evolving. So what does that mean?
But Megan, that example is the perfect one to illustrate how the president has spent the last 2 years, since he has not had complete control over the government, which he did the first 2 years, spending his time on policy margins, talking about gay marriage, whether it be through Biden or himself saying he's evolving to get the gay community strongly behind him, talking about the buffer rule to get the class warfare game going, talking about student loans to get the youth vote on his side. He's not acting like a president who's leading a country. He's acting like a candidate who's trying to win a campaign. He can't play that same card if he is the president for 4 years. I don't worry about him turning over, our country into something transformational. I worry about him settling my children and our future with more debt and deficits that are unsustainable without a serious plan to solve the problem.
You tell me, Jimmy.
Smart.
You tell me, I'm just teasing you. You just tell me whether the people who support President Obama, because he hasn't gone as far as saying that he supports gay marriage, he's only said his position is evolving. If we get into the second term and suddenly he says, I do support gay marriage, are they going to say, oh my God, what? It's such a shock. It's such a change from the evolving position that I banked on when I voted for him for the second term.
Look, the president has been completely consistent on this issue, but at the same time, look, and this is my own personal opinion, and actually I'll quote Winston Churchill here, who said once, if you don't have the ability to change your mind, are you sure you still have one? Like this is a new sort of rights issue of our generation, and the fact is states are recognizing this state by state. Your home state of New York, my home state of Massachusetts, and this is going to become, for many Americans, the last vestige of institutionalized discrimination that we have in this country.
And anybody who's objectively observed this president knows that in his heart he supports gay marriage. So to your point, Mark, if it's already happening, if that domino already fell, why doesn't he just come out and say what he wants to say?
Look, you don't know what the president believes in his heart. I don't know what the president believes in his heart. He has a very complex worldview. He understands that there are a lot of issues involved. He's driven by his value system. He's driven by his faith. As a Christian,
How do you
I think
reconcile,
Is he also driven by
however,
politics?
he
As
is.
all politicians
What's happening
are.
in North Carolina today? What's happening in North Carolina today? A ban on gay marriage. He won that state by less than a percentage point. He's holding his Democratic re-election convention in that state to that backdrop. That state is about to ban gay marriage. Does he want to necessarily take it head on? No, but he wants to send a message via the vice president to the gay community. Come next term, I may be where you are.
Look, the vice president isn't channeling the president here. The vice president is capable of independent thought. As we've seen, so are other members of the administration. They can speak on behalf of their own personal opinion, which is what the vice president said when he was on the morning talk, on the morning show. So the president's policy hasn't changed. It's a little bit of a diversion for the administration. And it'll be interesting to see what happens in a second term. But I think all the policy positions that Tony alluded to, supporting labor, supporting education, supporting fundamental fairness in the tax system, so millionaires are paying their fair share.
He's made that all clear.
So
how has your life changed since It's a Wonderful Life?
Wasn't he Atticus Finch as well?
Look at the camera.
Oh.
Look.
Oh, my goodness.
Look. I rest
can't
my
see anything
case.
here. Okay.
Mark Hanna, Tony Sayegh.
Thanks, Megan.
Thank you both so much.
Great to be here.